Hello, everybody. It's Mark Bloomhard here, founder and CEO of Boulder & Co. Creative Studios, and we like to review books and tell the world books that have made this huge impact on us. And today is a book that I reluctantly picked up. I was actually on vacation. I've heard about this book quite a bit. It's made a lot of waves out there, and it's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep. It's the counterintuitive approach to living a good life by Mark Manson. I'll be honest with you folks, I wouldn't have read it if somebody else hadn't bought it. I wouldn't have read it if I wasn't on vacation for about 10 days with nothing really to read. It was just sitting there. This has been one of the best books that I've ever read. Now, there's a saying out there that says, when the student is ready, then the teacher arrives. I think I've always been ready to some extent. I'm a ferocious reader. I've read hundreds and hundreds of business books. So I'm not really sure about that, but this book is one of the best self-help books I have ever read in my life. Now, I'm holding up somebody else's copy, but I'm actually going to buy that person, Ben McLean, another copy so I can scribble all over this. And this book, actually, I'm probably going to read a couple times a year. I think the first 20, 30 pages, he just drops the F-bomb all over the place. I really don't care, but I just find, like, if somebody has to do that to get their attention, like a comedian or something like that, I'm like, well, it's because your content's a little weak? Is that you're just going from shock value? And that's kind of how I approached it. So I would say that as well. Like, a lot of it's, let's say, first 30 pages or whatever it is, there's a lot of shock value of, how many times I can drop the F-bomb in a sentence and get away with it. But then once that's through that, if you can kind of stomach through that, to be honest with you, the content is absolutely remarkable. And there are so many topics in this that I almost can't even cover. Like, you're going to have to take my word for it. Out of the hundreds and hundreds of books I've read, you're going to have to pick this thing up and read it for yourself. Because if there's something that doesn't resonate with you at a very, very deep level, then I'm not really sure what to say about you as an individual. Like, then stop reading. Like, just read fiction books or something like that, because you're not interested in self-help. You're not interested in self-development. There were so many different things. One of the things that really stuck out at me was that, pretty much we're all, in many ways, as humans, we're deeply flawed individuals. At best, we're average, right? So when you look at individuals, let's say a business owner, or entrepreneur, let's say, you read about Fortune 500 and they just sold a $10 billion a year company and blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, they can be really good in business or really good at that. But, many ways, if you look at pretty much right across humanity, they're faltering something else. They're unorganized, or, their home life's a mess or something like that. You talk to motivational speakers. Once you start getting into their actual lives, many of them are living crazy lives, right? But they're, and many times you have these business coaches. My goodness, I get business coaches all the time. And then you start looking at their lives, they're business coaches for a reason. Like, a lot of them, I hate to break it to you. It's because they haven't really been successful, so they've turned to teaching kind of thing. So, hate to insult anybody out there, but we're all kind of average, right? So you can't really look at everybody with disdain and look down on people condescending. We're all in this soup together, right, folks? And that was actually really refreshing to read about that. And along those notes is that we're all wrong, and that lines up completely with my my philosophy in life. We don't have all the answers, but neither do you. So when we go into working with a company or we're working with an organization, and when we're brainstorming internally in Boulder, I kind of expect people to come to the table with that spirit. Hey, we're probably wrong. We don't have all the answers. Think about that in your life, the things that you were so dogmatic on, things that you understood so clearly, let's say 4 or 5 years ago. What do you think about those things now? You're going to think about it a little bit differently, hopefully, if you're alive, right? So with that same spirit, those things that I thought of so clearly 4 or 5 years ago, now I think about differently. What about the things I think about so clearly now? What would I think about those things 4 or 5 years? And what that does, it just creates the sense of presence. of being purposeful, of being mindful, and really elaborating the conversations. And I've talked about this multiple times. When I'm in a brainstorm session, again, I hate to bucket everybody, but there's only two kinds of people that show up to brainstorm sessions. People who are competitive and combative, and people who are collaborative. And those are the only two people. And the people who are collaborative understand that they're probably wrong, but they're looking for the best solution, the worst right, positive, or the worst wrong solution, if you will. They're striving for something, but they understand that they're wrong. So they're actually able to build on other people's ideas. And there's other people who come to the table and they're always their idea. And you can hear everybody's eyes rolling in the back of their heads as they're fighting for their idea every single time. Doesn't mean they're right. In their mind, they're right. They need to read this book. So I'm not right, you're not right, we're all wrong, right? So come to the table with that. When you're in a brainstorm session, come to the table ready to collaborate. Like you almost have to have at least a 50-50, if not an 80-20. 80% of your time needs to be building other people's ideas up, giving them props, saying that was a brilliant idea, let's see where this rolls, let's see how far we can take this thing. 20% of your time needs to be about your idea. And that's how you build up trust in the organization. Now, I've been around people that have been literally 100% of their time fighting because they feel so strong about their opinion. Well, you know what? You can sit there and fight and just fight for your opinion all day long. But you know what? It's at the cost of trust with your team. Your team looks at you and they don't trust you. They know when you come to the table, you're just going to poo-poo their idea. They know they're going to just kind of shove your idea. They know that you think their idea is stupid. So why even bother? That's the problem. You're wrong. News blip. I'm wrong. You're wrong. And what we think is so right in a couple of years, we're going to let back and chuckle. So again, it's the subtle art of not giving a rip. The counterintuitive approach to living a good life. There's so much information here. Thank you very much, Mark Manson, for putting this together. There's so much incredible information in here. Like I said, I could probably talk the rest of the year on the content that is in this. It is an incredible book. Just like I said, put your head down and just kind of barrel through the first 30 pages, if you will, and then it gets into some heavy-duty content. So best of luck to you, and if you have any questions, concerns, comments, we'd love to hear them.